Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of The Blunt Truth with Braylon Crest. Of course, I am Braylon Crest, and we're gonna be doing this for a long time, hopefully, but we're gonna start out today with our first episode. This will be on Rumble on YouTube. Uh, you know, all the essentials. Just in case we get banned because they like to do that a lot. Just a little introduction. I'm an America First Republican. I am not a MAGA Republican. I am an ex-MAGA. I used to support Trump, but after seeing the Epstein files, after seeing, every scandal and most of the things that he's been included in recently, I have, kind of left that inner sphere. But enough of that. We'll touch on that later on. Today's first episode is what is happening to America. I think that is the true question. We've been wondering that for years. From the Biden administration to, how we thought that if we voted Trump back in, it would get better, and it really didn't. We are fucking up as a society, and I think that we need some answers on why. So yeah, we'll get into that, and I'll see you back in like a second. Here's the intro. Alright, peeps, welcome back. Once again, this is the first episode of The Blunt Truth with Braylon Crest. And now, once again, the question and the theme of this episode is, what is happening to America? Once again, like I've said, that is kind of the question, that we've been asking for a very fucking long time. Now, I think that it's time that we get into it. The U.S., Trump's first administration was okay. I mean, as much as I like to talk about how, they overwhelmed Obama, his term was decent. His term was definitely decent. And I think Trump's first term was definitely decent too. It was okay, but the way that it was handled by quarantine and the way that it was handled, by a lot of bad things that had come out and just banter and this and that, it wasn't handled well. And it got so bad to the point where the Democrats ended up getting a geriatric as their candidate for their party, and they tricked their entire party into voting in a geriatric and to believing that their candidate wasn't a geriatric. I think it was very clear he was an elderly man who needed help. I mean, at least at that point, and I mean, seeing where he is now, it's very clear, and it's kind of embarrassing that now they're addressing the elephant in the room when they really had nothing to they were fearing to address the elephant in the room just because of the TDS. And, TDS was bad at that point, but I think at this point it's just genuine criticism that's, stuck with TDS and things like that because the hardcore MAGA Republicans they don't like to hear criticism of their daddy Trump. Once again, they voted in a geriatric, and to them they thought, wow, this is a new era, we're about to do so good. He was the vice president for Obama, he's gonna do perfect for us, this here, that here, it's gonna be great. Biden took office, once again, he claimed, I'm gonna fix inflation. And they're like, oh shit, he's gonna fix inflation, fuck yeah, woo! He didn't fix inflation. He made it worse. Biden ran on the fact that he was gonna fix this country for the better. He didn't fix this for anything. Actually, while he was in office and during his administration, two very deadly wars started. That being Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Palestine, and a complete genocide. Just went on just over and over again after that, continuing that. It was not a good idea. It was a terrible time, and it got so bad to the point where we thought that kind of the cause of these problems at some at an extent, we thought that Trump, our daddy Trump, was gonna save us, right? We thought, well, fuck, man, well, fuck, I mean, shit, they're doing bad, but Trump wouldn't, and then we just begged and begged Trump to come back when that really was not the best option, genuinely. But I mean, if we keep looking into the administration more, Biden lied several times. He said nobody's above the law, and then he ended up pardoning his drug addict son who did cocaine in the White House. I mean, there were a lot of scandals on that end. I don't even think Joe Biden was actually a part of that presidency. I think Kamala Harris and the inner circle around Joe Biden were the people who were actually holding office. I think that Biden was, and I don't know if I'm the first to say this. I'm probably not. I think he was not medically. I think he was elder abused into becoming president of the United States. Maybe if he took office in 2016, he would have done good. But no, he didn't. He took office in he took office in 2021 at a very terrible and abysmal time, and he didn't fix anything. As much as the Democrats will try to lean you to the point that he fixed things, he really didn't. And I mean, we're gonna see by when I bring up the 2024 election, we're gonna see kind of how after his presidency and all his supporters kind of just fucking woo just dropped away from him because I mean they were very disappointed and upset to see what he was doing. But was he really as bad as Trump? Listen. I'm a Republican, but was he as bad as Trump? I don't know. We're gonna see that. But yeah. So it was boring time in office. He didn't do much. Literally, he didn't do anything. Like the many past presidents before him did a lot more shit than he did. He didn't fix anything. I mean, he didn't have any of that much of a big scandal other than he was funding billions of dollars to Israel, which I mean we're still doing as a society, which is absolutely disgusting. We're supposed to be, just like my hat says over here, we're supposed to be America first, but we're not doing that, unfortunately. We're as a society we're funding foreign countries in their wars, and it's not helping us. But I mean, escaping that, we'll get back to that later. That was like their big scandal. They were funding a bunch of money to not to Palestine. They were funding a bunch of money to Israel, and they were funding a bunch of money to Ukraine. And that was their biggest scandal. They didn't really do much. I mean, there should have been a big scandal when Lincoln Riley was murdered, because that really just showed how their open border policy went. They tried to act as if they didn't have an open border, but they really did the entire time. They let in millions of illegal immigrants. I'm not sure the exact number. I don't have the statistic off my head. I'm not going to pretend that I do. I might get called off I might get called out in the fucking comments for this. He doesn't know the statistic. He doesn't know how is he going to talk on it if he's uneducated? It doesn't mean that I'm uneducated just because I don't know the exact statistic. I think that's also something that you guys need to, fix your arguments on. But yeah, I mean, genuinely, they let in many illegal immigrants, and I mean, passing through that, we don't have to go to the complete, Biden administration currently. I mean, that was years ago. I mean, if we're still blaming the administration that literally left office over a year ago now, I think that we are no better ourselves. I think that's like Clinton trying to blame George H.W. Bush, George H.W. Bush trying to blame Ronald Reagan, Ronald Reagan trying to blame Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Carter trying to blame, I mean, it's just, it goes on and on. It's a full cycle. It's not something that I think should be happening, and that's not something I'm going to do. I'm not going to trash the prior administration because of how we are doing right now currently. But what I will say completely is, it was a D plus of a grade for an administration if I were to cover it all. I mean, it was pretty bad, pretty abysmal. Not something that not something I would ever want to go through again. That's why I didn't want Kamala. Everybody was acting like Kamala Harris was the best choice, but I mean, in general, she was probably the one who was holding office the entire time. So then we'll skip past the 2024 election. It's Biden versus Trump. RFK's running. RFK doesn't get in. Ronald Reagan's run. Not. Did I just say Ronald Reagan? I meant to say Ron DeSantis is running in the he's running for the Republican ticket. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. Donald Trump got the Republican ticket. But, I was big MAGA at this time. MAGA hat on my fucking head, how? I was big on that, right? MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Trump makes this country great. Keep this country great. Make this country great again. This and that. I was big on that Trump train. But the thing is, it didn't help us. And I think it takes a great man to admit that it didn't help us. Donald Trump, he ran this entire time, and I think You know, the Democrats don't like to admit it, but Donald Trump is a very good campaigner. He's a very good campaigner. Very good. I mean, look at the MAGA train that he's built. The bad thing about MAGA is this, he runs under Make America Great Again. And people that are MAGA don't even consider themselves Republican anymore. They consider themselves MAGA. I think it's disgusting. It's gross. It's scary. And I think that's the type of like cult work that we end up getting, stuck in as a society, and it's gross. It's what we get caught up on, and that's kind of what he built. He built a big MAGA thing, and I don't notice because when you're in MAGA, I was MAGA. When you're in MAGA, you don't notice how bad the Make America Great Again movement is. I mean, you don't notice that you shun people out. You just assume, oh, they're evil fucking liberal bitches that were never on our side to begin with. When I mean that's not the complete truth. I mean, I remember what happened when Candace Owens had some criticisms, and of course, we've seen what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene. That was completely fucked up. But 2024 election, we were all, I was at least big MAGA. I was like, well, Trump's got this in the fucking bag. Trump's got this in the fucking bag. When Biden dropped out, I was a little worried. The thing is, I didn't think Trump was gonna win. I didn't think he had that strong of a caliber to win. As much as I would say, oh, Trump's got this shit in the bag, Trump's gonna win this shit, I didn't think Trump was gonna win. I was actually very shocked and excited when he won. In hindsight, I wouldn't be, but I was at that time because I didn't think Trump was gonna win. It shocked me because of, how deranged the Democratic Party had become at that point. Seeing Kamala Harris at its when they really didn't look into her record. They couldn't name a single accomplishment from Kamala. They couldn't name a single they couldn't say a good policy of Kamala's that they liked. All they could say is that she was a woman or that she was Indian. They really had nothing good on Kamala, and if you tried speaking out against her, you're a sexist, racist, homophobe, this and that. She just really was not the best choice for the Democratic ticket. And she only had 107 days, like she said. Since she was vice president, she didn't even have to go through the primaries. Absolutely disgusting. But we can skip past that, right? Kamala jumps in out of fucking nowhere. She picks Tim Balls as her vice president. We have Biden dropping out. Biden's like, but we know Biden voted for Trump, unfortunately. He didn't say that he voted for Trump, but number one, when Kamala was first, announced that she was going to run, Biden refused to endorse her in the beginning, and then only endorsed her afterwards. And it didn't really seem like he wanted to. There was a scandal where he wore a MAGA hat. He was smiling when he was in the Oval Office with Trump, welcoming him. It's not, it's not a way that you would act about your op, seemingly. That's what they were, right? They were ops. That's not how you would act about your op. So anyway, excuse me. If we skip past that, right? So we go to the 2024 election, all that stuff happens, and then so it gets to the point where it's just Trump and Kamala. I was big on the Trump. I was like, Trump's gonna beat her ass. Didn't think he was gonna win. I was shocked when he won. I was excited when he won. I regret that, but so Trump won. It was a big thing, and I was like, fuck yeah. I was actually really excited that J.D. Vance was going to become our vice president. I think that was my best thing. I love J.D. Vance. I really hope J.D. Vance becomes president in the future, because, listen, people have trouble separating things because they are in the same kind of booth, per se. Like in the restaurant, they're sitting next to each other in the booth, but people don't notice. J.D. Vance, not a pedophile. Has barely any scandals other than the, having sex with the couch, which obviously, wasn't true. The Democrats will just pull anything out. It's a very funny rumor, I'll say that. But that's probably the only, amount of humor that they'll ever have, ever again. But, the sex with the couch scandal, that's, all that they fucking had against him. It's kind of embarrassing. Come up with something else! But, that was their only thing against J.D. Vance. I was very excited for him to become vice president. I wanted him to become president. I still do. I think Trump should be impeached right now, but we'll get into that after. JD won, or JD and Trump won. I was very excited. Trump got inaugurated. I remember when Red Note was still a thing because we thought TikTok was going to get banned, and that was my rage state. I posted a video to Red Note of me lip syncing. Guess who's back? Back again. while wearing a MAGA hat. You'll never see that hat again. But I was wearing the MAGA hat, and then they were all like, "You're a fucking racist, fascist." And listen, as much as I'm not MAGA, I will admit that the Democratic Party is disgusting. And I mean, when you have a differing opinion from them, they're disgusting. They're gross. They don't know what they're talking about, and they get very angry. And yeah, so I basically got canceled off Red Note for a little bit, but I ended up coming back after a little while. But so that happened. Trump got inaugurated. I denied everything that I heard from the Democrats, although they were probably right in some things. I didn't really know who Nick Fuentes was other than the "your body, my choice" thing. I disagree with that, even though I am very, very pro-life, and I disagree with abortion unless it's incest, rape, or medically needed. I disagreed with that because I thought it was kind of a gross thing to say, but I mean, looking back, once again, I love Nick Fuentes, so, I really don't understand why it took me so long for that, but, yeah, I mean, it took me a while, but I didn't know. I was really scared to be critical of Trump. I was hearing things, but, Trump's administration for the first few months sounded great to me. Even though the Democrats were bitching, I was like, well, he just took office, ho. Give him a fucking second. Although he did say he was going to end the wars on day one, which, I mean, it's kind of scary and embarrassing, because he didn't end the wars on day one. I mean, that's genuinely all he had to do, and that's not what he did. But that's okay, right? He didn't fix the economy yet. I mean, hey, it's been a year now. You can't act like he just took office. I mean, the term is almost up. We have 3 more years unless he gets impeached, and he hasn't really done much. But we'll skip past that right now. So Trump, of course, I was alright with him for a while. I was like, Trump, 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 whoop, whoop, Trump, Trump. I was so proud to be a Trumpy. I loved it. And I sat by that for a few months. I had some personal problems, but I wasn't really paying attention to politics. All I knew was Trump good, Democrats bad. Trump good, Democrats bad. Republicans who don't like Trump bad. I remember when Candace Owens first said that she did not recognize the Trump administration of 2025 to the one that she recognized of 2017, and I was like, "Fuck you, you fucking traitor, bitch." I hated her. I was very upset at her. I thought, you're racist to your own kind. You're this and that. I didn't really know who Candace Owens was. Now I know differently. But I didn't. I was just upset. I was angry, and I lashed out at everybody who went against Trump. When I heard Nick Fuentes talking, I'm like, who the fuck is this bitch, and why is he against Trump? And I did not know that he actually had been against Trump for years, and he was the first person to be against Trump. I think my first sign of not liking Trump was when he bombed Iran. I think that was when I was like, okay, bro, we're going way too fucking far with this shit. And then I critiqued him. I wasn't scared to. I'll never be scared to critique somebody. I critiqued Trump, and I said, this is bad. I don't like this. I heard nothing from it. Nothing from it again. He was just doing more and more shit. Then another fucking boom, another break. But this was a big blow. Was when they were asking him, about the Epstein files, and he was like, "We're still talking about Jeffrey Epstein. This guy's a dead creep. We're still talking about him. So disgusting. Why do you care? The Epstein files. Why do you want to know who the pedophiles are? It's so disgusting. It's so gross that they're infesting." And I was like, okay, Trump. Well, I mean, the thing is, Trump also campaigned on releasing these files, and I mean, he just hadn't. He hadn't done it, and it didn't seem like he was gonna do it, quite frankly. And I mean, I'm still questioning if he's gonna do it or not. But yeah, I mean, he did release some of them, but it's not all. But Trump was very opposed to it, and I was like, wow, okay. So after that, I was like, okay, well, I don't think I can say I fully support Trump anymore, but I'm still with him. I hadn't really said anything on politics since then. I still had my MAGA hat hanging up, even though I was not MAGA. Well, I probably was at that point, but, I didn't leave it. I was halfway to leaving it. And then I think when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, I think that was when I completely switched. I think that was when I was like, well, shit. Trump! We love you! We love you! That's when I was like, went right back into my MAGA psychosis. I was like, Trump, we love you! Trump, we love you! Because, I mean, I was like, damn, bro, a crazy Democrat just killed one of my favorite, journalists that I watch on a daily basis. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. It was a big thing. I was like, well, damn, bro. And I think I was the first person in my the first person around me to find out. I was the first person to post about it. I know that. But yeah, I was like, damn, bro, they just killed my favorite journalist guy, and I can't imagine how Trump's feeling. I can't imagine how Erica's feeling. Um, and I just hadn't really paid attention to the media after that. I saw a bunch of videos on my algorithm of people celebrating Charlie's death, and I was like, that's absolutely fucking disgusting. Because I mean, if we're gonna go look, I mean, yes, sure, he said some controversial things. Who hasn't said some controversial things? And a lot of the things that he said was taken out of context. I'm not going to go an example right now, but he did say a lot of things, of course. But we all say a lot of things on a daily basis in our life, here and there. And I'm 90% sure that we get taken out of context all the fucking time, all the time. So who are we to judge Charlie Kirk? He had a good relationship with the Lord. He had good faith. He had good this. He had good that. But yeah. So, another sign of me not liking Trump anymore was when he was like, they were like, "I'm so sorry to hear that your friend Charlie Kirk was assassinated. How do you feel right now?" And this was in his big psychosis about the fucking ballroom that nobody really gave a shit about. Although for some reason the Democrats treated it like it was some big thing. And it was like, Obama built a fucking basketball court in the White House. How is a ballroom worse than that? Fucking excuse me. And then so they were like, I'm so sorry to hear that your friend was assassinated, how are you feeling? He's like, I think I'm holding up great, frankly. The ballroom, it's building great. The ballroom, we wanted this for years, haven't we? We wanted the ballroom for years, over 100 years, and it's building beautifully. It's gonna be done soon. And I was like, oh, so that's really fucking weird, Trump. Do you not give a fuck about Charlie Kirk? Your good friend, do you not give a fuck? Now I also think that he killed him, but we'll get into that in a later episode. But I'm like, do you really care about your friend Charlie Kirk? Do you? Was he actually your friend? And then we have Erica. This was her height of the fucking widow. This cry of a widow will go like a fucking battle cry. And it's like, okay, that was also, I also think she had something to do with it, but we'll get into that once again in a later episode. That was these cries of the widow, and it was like, okay, I get it, bitch, I get it. You're fucking like MLK, shaky voice, or like fucking, my husband, he's dead. It's like, okay. I also don't think it's normal to give a speech, about your husband dying after he died. When you were nobody knew who the fuck you were. So what are you doing that for? The media? Are you doing that to tell people that you're okay? Or what are you doing that for? It doesn't make any sense. But I mean, she did took over as CEO, and they really covered that one up for Turning Point, didn't they? Skip past. We're at Charlie's funeral. Erica's just like, forcing out her tears, and everybody's like, that young man, I forgive him. And then, but Trump's speech was absolutely what disgusted me, because seeing that at Charlie's funeral, that's what like completely showed me that fucker gave no fucks that Charlie was dead. He didn't know Charlie, and all he cared about was his election win. He doesn't care about how his presidency goes. He cares about fucking winning. I know that because he was like, Charlie actually helped us win. He helped us get that biggest landslide in election history. He helped us with it, frankly. We wouldn't have won if it wasn't for Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. It really helped us. I mean, look at where our country's at right now. Charlie Kirk, he was a beautiful guy. And he was like, I was always very busy. But when Charlie would ask him and feel bad, and I would be like, yes, Charlie, I'll go with you. Absolutely fucking disgusting. You talk about your friend like that? You talk about your friend that you care deeply about. You talk about your friend like that. It's gross. It truly is gross. That was kind of what sent me over the edge. And he's like, I hate my enemies. And it's like, this is supposed to be, a very Christian funeral, and you're talking about how you hate your enemies. I mean, I can understand, he probably meant it as a joke, but it's not the time. And it's not the time to joke, especially at a funeral. That was my big thing. And then, it kind of, I kind of died down from it. I just almost completely started hating Trump. I was seeing things that he was doing that I didn't like. Oh, also, I didn't like the Big Beautiful Bill. That might have also been one of my set-offs, but I also didn't like Elon Musk, because I knew that Elon Musk is in the fucking Epstein files, too, but once again, we'll get into that. So, December, November, shit like that, I stopped supporting Trump completely. I want to get rid of my MAGA hat. I started listening to Nick Fuentes, and I really liked him. I really did. I was like, well, damn. And the funding billions of dollars to Israel, I had noticed. I was like, this isn't America first, Trump. I remember when you were running, you're like, we're going to be America first. We're going to be the best America we've ever had. Frankly, we're going to be very America first. You weren't America first. You weren't, because if you were America first, you'd stop funding these foreign fucking countries that you bitched so much about for the Biden administration, funding these foreign countries. You bitched so bad about it, but then you continue on to fund it. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but, maybe tell the MAGA guy over there with the red hat who claims he knows everything and that I'm clueless about things and that I'm crazy and that I'm a federal agent for questioning what Trump's doing in office right now. How about we ask that guy what he thinks? Because Israel is beautiful, right? Israel's beautiful? Yeah. Then let's ask that MAGA guy that doesn't know shit about politics and is only a big Trumpy. How about we ask him? Because that's the fan base that you've built, Donald Trump. You're so good at campaigning. You don't make them think about what you're doing in your presidency. You make them think about how you were elected. You make them think about how you were elected, not what you're doing in your presidency. You've built a bunch of cult heads who have no fucking idea what they're supporting anymore, and they just sit there and go, Trump, 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 Trump. Donald Trump, you are a fucking evil man. And the people that you've garnered in for yourself are stupid. And it's sad because you're taking light of naive, of naive, people who just want to change. These stupid people that think that Trump is going to change everything and they don't pay attention to your prior administration. And they want to blame everything on your cabinet picks, and you want to blame everything on your cabinet picks, and you want to turn on your cabinet picks when they're your cabinet picks. Marjorie Taylor Greene voted in favor of, so I didn't bring up the Epstein files a lot more, and I got to bring them up now. The Epstein files, they continued on with that. They kept going, yeah, why does it matter? You're a fucking pedo. You're a pedophile if you want the Epstein files out. No, the fuck I'm not. Okay, and then the Donald Trump at the Department of Justice went, there's no list. There's no Epstein list. That's disgusting. It's very gross, actually. There's no list. So disgusting, no list. There's no list. There's no Epstein list. You're fucking lying. Jeffrey Epstein was not a pedo. Actually, there's no list. And it was like, really? Really, there's no list? There's no list, but you campaigned on the list. You claimed that you saw the list. In your prior presidency, you campaigned on this fucking list. The entirety of your 2024 presidential campaign, but there's no list now, right? No list. There's no, ladies and gentlemen, woo! Forget everything I've said for the past few years. Woo! Forget it all. Because there's no list, ladies and gentlemen. There's no list. Forget about everything that I've said, because there's no list. There's no list, right? So Trump completely fucking lied, and we know that because Congress was like, well, we know you're fucking lying. We know that there's a list. So we're gonna pass a bill that you have to release the Epstein files. You have to, but they shouldn't have said it like that broad, because they didn't say you had to release the full unredacted Epstein files. They only said you had to release a few pages, and so he did. They said you only have to release the Epstein files, or you'll get prosecuted. And you know who voted in favor of the Epstein files? Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Donald Trump got so angry at her, he called her a traitor, right? She's a traitor, bitch. She's really fat. She's stupid. He said all these terrible things about Marjorie, when all she did was defy what Donald Trump wanted. It's criticism. It's fair criticism, and all you did was berate and go after Marjorie, the person that you put in that part of office just because she wanted to know who the fuck is a pedophile and who's not a pedophile. You went after her for having questions, for being curious about shit like that, when, that's kind of gross. And considering you wanted them released so bad, why aren't you releasing them? Right? So he went after Marjorie, and then it got to the point where Marjorie said she was stepping down from her position in 2026, and now she's officially stepped down because of Trump. And all those MAGA Republicans went after her, called her a fake, called her a traitor, called her this, called her that, when all she wanted was some fucking justice for the fucking raped victims. Absolutely disgusting. And she just wanted to know who in power, who in political power in our country is a pedophile and who's not. And he went right the fuck after her. Disgusting. But we'll stray away from that. We'll stray away from that. So after that, there wasn't really much talk. I mean, it was to the point where I was like, new president, new president, new president, new president. And, I mean, it only gotten worse. I mean, Trump hasn't done anything. He had done absolutely fucking nothing. Actually, he probably has done less than the Biden administration. He succeeded on a few of his promises, but they were the promises that people didn't really care about. I mean, I guess the transgender one was good, but you're not really, going through with the promises that you've, the big ones that you made. You said you were going to end the wars. You didn't, and actually, you still fund billions of dollars to Israel, to whoever the fuck they're killing in our government, who they're killing in the Palestinian government, who they're killing in their own government. You're funding them. You're funding Bibi Netanyahu, who's a terrible guy. I mean, but yeah, you want to continue on with that. You want to keep going. You want to pretend that everything is all good and dandy. I mean, it's not, but okay. And then out of nowhere, he has support for the Epstein files, right? So then they're like, all right, they vote in that he has to release them. He takes the longest point that he can, and then he finally releases them when he has to. And he releases the most clickbait fucking Epstein files that there's ever been. He released a photo of Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Jackson that wasn't even on Epstein's island. This is once again what I'm talking about. Trump won't release any of himself because he doesn't want to get caught himself. He releases some of other people to put them on the spot, and dead people like Michael Jackson, who can't speak out for himself, who already has pedo allegations. He knows that too. They're false, by the way, but he knows that too. So he's gonna, to his so-called friend, he's gonna release a photo of him and Jeffrey Epstein to make it look bad, right? To make Michael Jackson and make these people the target. But there were none of Trump. And all the other files, redacted, 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 redacted. It's the same thing. I saw this funny TikTok. It was like, my favorite celebrity, blank black bar, is not in the Epstein files. And boom, 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 boom. It's funny because there's no actual fucking names or photos. And that's not what happened until the Department of Justice finally took shit into their own hands. Now, we go to the week of January 30th. The Department of Justice releases, they didn't release the full, but they released enough for us to see. 3 million fucking Epstein files that are mostly unredacted. And the redacted ones, I think we have enough. And Trump, as much as he tried to, fucking complain about it, usually I don't really care about morals. I just care about the presidency. If you have a good presidency, it doesn't really matter to me. But unless the morals get in the way, and I think this is definitely getting in the way of his presidency, he hasn't done anything. He sat here. He hasn't succeeded in anything. Donald Trump still talks about his election that was almost 2 years ago. Donald Trump tries to cover up the fact that he's a pedophile. He doesn't. He doesn't care for the American people. These files came out. It was alleged that Trump forced underage girls to perform oral sex on him. It was alleged that, also, don't even say there's no proof to this. The victims never said anything. The victims never confirmed it. Donald Trump takes down people who speak against him. The current victims are not confirming it because they're probably fucking scared of the President of the United States. And I'll bring up another file too. There's a file where Donald Trump threatens, allegedly, to murder somebody if they speak out of the abuse that they handled. Donald Trump's head of security said, get ready for this one. If you ever speak, this isn't verbatim, but this is what I remember off the top of my dome. I'll see if I can find it. They say, if you ever speak of what happened again, you'll be buried in the back with all those other cunts, and you'll be fertilizer. He threatened, his head of security threatened to murder the victims, who they have allegedly already murdered other people. I mean, we know that they eat babies, right? They said that the babies taste like cream cheese. They taste like candy. Like, get the fuck out of here. We've already heard that. We know that they worship Baal and that they're Satanists. So this isn't really shocking to me, and it shouldn't be shocking to anybody else. All these files came out, and It was disgusting. All of this was disgusting. And now we have Trump saying, because Obama was on a podcast, and they're like, Obama. He's like, yeah. Are aliens real? Well, they're real, but, I haven't seen much. Just casually fucking admitting that aliens are real, as if we didn't already know. And now Donald Trump's acting like this is some confidential shit. Like he hasn't released and hasn't said some shit that he wasn't supposed to say in the past that was confidential. Isn't that right? In the past, that was confidential, but it doesn't matter. And so he said that it was a big problem. Now he's saying the alien files, frankly, I think we need to forget about the Epstein files. They're not real. Once again, those are AI. A lot of those are AI. How about we release the alien files? Correct? Alien files. Yep. Alien files. Nobody wants the fucking alien files. Nobody gives a shit about the alien files. We can worry about that in a different fucking time. Right now, you just got outed for being a pedophile, and you're trying to cover it up with alien files. And you claim that you don't try to cover up the Epstein files, but you clearly do. Because listen, if you didn't try to cover up the Epstein files, you wouldn't be talking about the alien files. Now, anyway, I think that it's time that we kind of stray away from just talking about his public scandals and why we just talk about why America's going so bad. Before Trump, before Trump took office for a second time, we had a presidency that was being handled very terribly and possibly the worst plague in 100 years. We had a geriatric man who was voted in by the Democrats because they wanted somebody to fight Trump and go against Trump. And they couldn't find anybody else. I mean, literally Bernie Sanders was fucking running. If you were to elect anybody, why wouldn't it be him? But anyway, they elected Biden. Biden, sit there. His cabinet meeting was like, they let immigrants in, illegal immigrants, very bad people, parts of the cartel. Laken Riley was murdered. Plenty of things that could have been avoided wasn't avoided. They, passed, they signed a bill package or Kamala Harris did, to worsen inflation. Very disgusting. It made our life a whole lot worse. Yes, Trump probably was a good contributor to inflation towards the end of his presidency, but it was very disgusting. And you can try to bring up, their pressure from January 6th, but you can't keep milking that. Yes, it was a violent riot, but that was 5 years ago now. You gotta stop bringing it up. Same thing with George Floyd. George Floyd wasn't killed by a racist cop. That was proved. George Floyd died from a fentanyl overdose, and he was given the proper position that the cop was taught in training. Derek Chauvin is not a racist, but that's what you guys do. Same thing that you're doing with Renee Good right now and Alex Preddy, you did with George Floyd. You're trying to find yourself a hero, but there is no hero in this sense. It's weird. It's disgusting, but the Biden-Harris administration did nothing. They didn't. They sat there. They funded foreign countries in wars. They gave us more of a conflict. When Iran was planning to bomb us, they went, don't. That's all. Just don't. Just like President Biden said, just don't do it. Yeah. Pretty straightforward. That is not how we fucking work our country. That's all they said. That's all they did. And it didn't get us anywhere. It really didn't. And then Trump was saying, we're going to fix this country. We're going to fix all the problems that they created, these nasty people. And then when Trump came into office, in his first few days, he passed a few things. But then, he didn't. He claimed he'd be America first. He funded billions of dollars to Israel and is best friends with Benjamin Netanyahu. He said he was going to end both the wars. He can't. He got them to ceasefire a few times, but it kept ending because of Israel. He said that, Ukraine-Russia war that's been going on since 2022 was going to end. But in 2026, it's still going on. He said, the Epstein files, they're going to be released. The Epstein files were not released until the Department of Justice took it into their own hands and released the Epstein files. It was said that he said that, he was gonna pardon those who are in prison unlawfully or were brought into prison under Kamala Harris's prosecution state. But he didn't. He didn't do that. Um, he promised that the economy would be better, that gas prices would go down, that grocery prices would go down. They're up. They're very badly up right now. Donald Trump still milks his 2024 election win because he doesn't like to admit that he doesn't know anything about politics or about country. Because every time he's a president, he doesn't do anything. Donald Trump does nothing as president of the United States. He does something as presidential candidate and, president elect. But once he's president of the United States, fucking nothing. Donald Trump is a good campaigner, and he's a good fucking liar. Donald Trump will tell you that the economy is doing great when the economy is doing bad. Donald Trump will tell you that our country is the best it's been since the 1960s. It's the worst it's been since the 1960s. Donald Trump has such a big MAGA cult following that they can convince people to join on. But the revolution is over. The MAGA revolution is over because of this hat right here. People are leaving MAGA. People are leaving both parties. We're disillusioned. What's happening to America and why America is so bad is the fault of the Biden-Harris administration and the Trump-Vance administration. They said they were going to fix things. We're on year 2. They haven't fixed a single thing. They said, yeah, they got the transgenders out of men and women's sports, right? Whoop, whoop. Get them out the bathrooms next, because that hasn't been fixed yet. He said he was going to mass deport people. Whoop, nope. He folded to the fucking Democrats when they told him it was too much. Donald Trump folds to everybody that he's with, and he tries to make it seem as if he does good. The Biden-Harris administration, they don't hide that they're bad, but the Democrats try to hype them up to make it seem like they're good. And they're actually responsible for a lot of the deaths that we have in the Republican Party. The problem with America is we keep voting in people that give us a feeling. No matter what feeling they give us, it's not a good choice. Yes, they might give you an adrenaline rush. Yes, they might make you feel a certain way. But once they're in office, they do nothing. It's best to stay disillusioned with these type things because it doesn't do anything. They don't do anything. They make you feel, and then they leave. It's like a one-night stand, a one-year stand until after the election. Well, that's all. Thank you for watching the first episode of The Blunt Truth with Braylon Crest. I hope that you tune into the second episode. It was very fun having you guys and talking. I think I got everything out, and I think that the question is answered for why America, or what's happening to America right now. It's that we vote in people that give us feelings, not that will actually do things. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you in episode 2 next week, I believe. And peace, brochacha.